lying to you, saying nothing's going on, and it's her that he's cheating with.
Yeah, betrayal is really a devastating thing. At the end of any marriage is very sad.
At 60, Shania Twain finally spoke the words her fans waited decades to hear. For years, whispers followed her everywhere. People talked about the dark secrets from her childhood. They wondered about her mysterious health problems. They gossiped about her husband's shocking betrayal. But Shania stayed quiet. She smiled for the cameras and kept singing. Now, everything has changed. In a recent interview, she confirmed what everyone suspected, but nobody dared to ask. The truth about her past is more disturbing than anyone imagined. Shania Twain was born on August 28, 1965, in Windsor, Ontario. Her birth name was Eileen Regina Edwards. When she was just 2 years old, her parents split up. Her mother, Sharon, raised her and her sisters alone until she married Jerry Twain, an Ojibwa man who adopted the girls and gave Shania his last name. They all moved to a small mining town called Timmins. Life there was hard. The house was small, cold, and often had no electricity. Sometimes they didn't even have enough food to eat. Shania later said the family moved often, sometimes 3 times in 1 year, just to get away from unpaid bills. By 1968, when Shania was only 3, she was already singing songs at home. Her mother noticed her voice and pushed her into small talent shows. Even though they were poor, Sharon would drive her hundreds of miles just so she could sing. By the time she was 4, Shania could play simple songs on a toy guitar. The winters were freezing, sometimes dropping to minus 30 degrees. They survived on hunted moose, caught fish, and meals made of bread and mustard. In 1970, when she was 5, she won her first talent show prize, a ribbon and $5. That same year, the family's money problems got worse. Jerry, her stepfather, had a terrible temper. He beat Sharon, sometimes in front of the children. At just 6 years old in 1971, Shania performed on a local radio station. While other kids played outside, she was singing in bars at night, trying to help her family earn money. Sometimes she stayed up all night practicing, and in the morning, chopped wood to keep the house warm. By 1973, when she was 8, she was singing in bars after midnight. It was dangerous. Some men in the audience were drunk and even tried to touch her. One man once grabbed her. She started wearing tight bras to hide her growing body. Even though it was scary, she kept performing. She made $20 for each show, which helped with food and bills. By 1975, she had done more than 100 bar shows. That year, she was only 10, and she started writing songs. She wrote to escape the pain and fear at home. One song she wrote was called "Mama, Won't You Come Out to Play?" It was about her mother's depression. Sharon sometimes stayed in bed for days, and Shania had to take care of the whole family. In 1975, something terrifying happened. Jerry beat Sharon so badly he pushed her head into a toilet. Shania thought her mother was dead. She hit Jerry with a chair, and he punched her in the face. She was only 10. That same year, Jerry started touching her in ways that were wrong. To protect herself, she started wearing more than one bra, hoping to disappear. Police came to the house many times, but nothing changed. They even ran away to a women's shelter once, but they went back. By the time Shania was 13 in 1978, she was performing at local events regularly. She sang on the radio and appeared on small TV shows. But the pain at home never stopped. She often went to school hungry and was too ashamed to tell anyone. Her mom kept pushing her to be like Tanya Tucker, a famous young country star, even though it meant risking her safety. In November 1987, everything changed. Shania was 22 when her mother and Jerry were killed in a head-on crash with a logging truck. They were driving to a job site near Kapuskasing. Shania got the call from her sister. She was shocked and heartbroken. She had to leave her dreams behind and take care of her 3 younger siblings, Carrie Ann, Mark, and Daryl. She gave up everything to raise them. In 1988, she got a job singing at a resort in Huntsville called Deerhurst. It was a fancy place with big shows, and she performed in front of hundreds of people every night. She worked there for 5 years, from 1988 to 1993. It was her first real job as a singer. She sang, danced, and acted, while still being a full-time mother to her siblings. She put her music dreams on hold to keep them fed, clothed, and in school. In 1989, when she was 23, she finally moved to Nashville. She used her stepfather's last name and started calling herself Shania Twain. She signed with Mercury Records, but her demos were rejected at first. The Nashville crowd didn't like her mixing country with rock. She cleaned houses to pay for singing lessons and sometimes didn't even have a place to stay. Still, she kept trying. By 1991, a producer named Nora Wilson noticed her and helped her land her first album deal. But when her debut album came out in 1993, it didn't do well. It only sold 100,000 copies. She earned just $1 for each sale. She had no control over the songs, writing only 1 track herself. It wasn't her style. Critics liked her voice, but the album didn't feel true to who she was. That same year, in 1993, everything changed again. A famous rock producer named Robert John Mutt Lang heard her music and called her. He had worked with Def Leppard and AC/DC. He believed in her voice. They started working together and quickly fell in love. They got married in December that year, just 6 months after they met. Together, they created her breakthrough album. Shania Twain was 28 years old when she released an album that completely changed her life. On February 7, 1995, The Woman in Me came out and shocked the country music world. It didn't sound like anything Nashville was used to. It had a pop feel to it, and traditional fans weren't ready. But it worked. The album sold more than 12 million copies in the US and was certified diamond by 1997. Songs like Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under climbed the country charts, and Any Man of Mine became her first big hit on the pop charts too. What no one knew was that while she was recording all these songs, Shania was already showing signs of Lyme disease. Her voice was getting weaker. She didn't know what was happening, but she kept going. The lyrics she wrote talked about strength and independence. She wasn't just singing country songs. She was building something that pushed against Nashville's old rules. By 1996, the album had sold 20 million copies worldwide, changing the sound of country forever. At just 29, while working on that same album in 1994 and 1995, Shania wasn't just singing. She was fighting behind the scenes too. Most people didn't think a woman should help produce an album, especially not in country music. But she fought to have a say. She had lived through poverty and abuse growing up, and she wasn't about to let anyone silence her again. In her 2022 documentary, Not Just a Girl, she shared how some of her lyrics were inspired by painful memories, like when she rewrote lines in If You're Not in It for Love to speak up against how women are often treated. She had also gone through a miscarriage scare in 1993, and now she was trying to balance her music with new motherhood. Despite all that, she didn't back down. She got her name listed as co-producer, something very few women had at the time. Her fight changed how women were seen in the studio. Later that same year, Shania launched her first major tour across North America. From 1995 through 1996, she performed in over 150 cities, making more than $10 million from the shows. Sometimes she opened for Brooks and Dunn, but soon she was the main act. In August 1995, She performed in front of 20,000 fans at the Sky Dome in Toronto. She wore outfits that showed her stomach and danced across rock-style stages, which caused some people to complain. But it helped her connect with more fans outside country music. During a show in July 1996 in Saskatoon, a stage malfunction nearly made her fall, but she turned it into a smooth moment on stage. By the time the tour ended in December 1996, she had visited 120 cities. Each show had about 18 songs, including some fans had never even heard before. She was now not just a singer, but a powerful performer. On February 28, 1996, she won her first Grammy for Best Country Album. She was 30 years old. This should have been a moment of joy, but instead, it came with a lot of hate. Country radio stations started pulling her songs. One Nashville station even sent out a memo calling her music a bubblegum betrayal. She even received death threats. Her sound was too pop for some people, but she didn't apologize. In a Rolling Stone interview in March 1996, she said her style wasn't about leaving country behind. It was about moving it forward. And she was right. Her songs kept playing on pop stations. Her success kept growing. She went from 1 Grammy to 5, even though people said she didn't belong. Her image, her voice, and her message made her one of the most talked about names in music. Back in 1993, before all of this, Shania had quietly married her producer, Robert "Mutt" Lang, in a small ceremony in Huntsville, Ontario. She was 28, he was 45. They had only known each other for 6 months. The songs they wrote together, like From This Moment On, were inspired by their intense connection. But behind closed doors, things weren't perfect. In her 2011 book, she admitted they had loud fights during the album recordings. Her health problems were growing too. That Lyme disease she caught in 1993 wasn't diagnosed yet, but it was already causing strain between them. She later said in a 2018 interview that it even made their relationship feel distant. Still, they stayed together and kept making music. On November 4th, 1997, Shania released Come On Over, and nothing in music would ever be the same. It became the best-selling album by a female artist of all time. By 2015, it had sold over 40 million copies worldwide. In just 1 year, 1999, she sold 15.2 million copies. The songs were catchy and emotional. You're Still the One and From This Moment On became anthems. She later revealed that she wrote some of those romantic songs while quietly feeling something wasn't right in her marriage. Years later, in 2008, when Mutt had an affair, it all made sense. The heartbreak was already in the music. In Canada, the album debuted at #1 with over 51,000 copies sold in the first week. It was certified double diamond with 2 million shipped. In 1998 and 1999, Shania went on her Come On Over World Tour. It lasted from May 29, 1998 to December 5, 1999. She performed 165 shows across North America, Europe, Australia, and the UK. The tour earned over $80 million and brought in 2 million fans. In Miami, Elton John joined her on stage in January 1999. The Backstreet Boys performed From This Moment On with her. Everyone who said she couldn't sing live was proven wrong. Her performances were electric. In 1998 and 1999, Polestar gave her the Country Tour of the Year award. CBS even aired 2 special broadcasts of her concerts in 1999, one of them on Thanksgiving, and millions tuned in to watch. Then came the 41st Grammy Awards in Los Angeles on February 24, 1999. Shania took home 4 trophies. She won Best Country Song and Best Female Country Vocal Performance for You're Still the One. This was during the same night Lauryn Hill made history with 10 nominations. But Shania still stood out. Her mix of pop and country was now dominating the charts. Just a year earlier, in 1998, she had been named Entertainer of the Year, by the Academy of Country Music. In 1999, she received a rare double diamond award for both The Woman in Me and Come On Over. By then, Come On Over had sold more than 47 million album units. On August 12, 2001, Shania gave birth to her son, Aja D'Angelo Lang, in Switzerland. She called him the center of her world. Even while she was recording songs for her next album, Up, she was learning how to be a mother. The love she poured into motherhood softened some of her songs. By 2002, she said Aja was the reason she stayed grounded. She didn't want fame to affect how he grew up. She made birthday cakes, fed the dogs, and kept things simple despite all the wealth around her. On November 19, 2002, she released Up, an album that came in 3 versions. One had a country sound, one was pop, and one was international with a Bollywood feel. It was a bold idea, but it worked. The album sold over 20 million copies. In Canada, it went diamond quickly. I'm Gonna Get You Good hit #1 in 15 countries. But behind all this success, Shania was battling something serious. The Lyme disease she caught in 2003 had now damaged her vocal cords. Her voice was slowly disappearing. Even though the album made $150 million, she paid a big price. The sessions were draining, and her marriage with Mutt was becoming more strained. Things got worse when stalkers started invading her life. On July 12, 2002, a man broke into her home in Switzerland, stole personal items, and left creepy notes. Another stalker bombarded her with over 1,000 emails and even showed up at her grandmother's funeral in 2004. She became so paranoid, she slept with a loaded gun under her pillow and hired bodyguards that cost $500,000 a year. These fears came from earlier abuse in her life. In 2003, she donated $100,000 to anti-stalking charities. Even with all this happening, she still performed 115 shows perfectly. Her Up tour began on September 25, 2003, in Hamilton, Ontario, and ran until March 2004. It earned $100 million. Shows sold out in minutes. Madison Square Garden sold 20,000 tickets instantly. There were fireworks, 20 outfit changes, and even stunts. But her voice was fading. On November 15, 2003, during a show in Chicago, it cracked. She got cortisone shots just to finish the tour. In Munich on March 4, 2004, she hurt her ankle during a stage accident. She had to cancel some shows, but she still donated $1 million to children's hospitals from the tour money. On April 4, 2004, Shania hosted the Juno Awards in Edmonton. She spoke openly about her violent childhood and PTSD. Over 2 million people watched. Her speech helped raise money for music education and also changed how women were seen in the industry. She wore a $50,000 gown covered in symbols of strength. Behind the scenes, her marriage was falling apart. In 2002, she had already fought hard to keep creative control of Up, threatening to quit. The cracks were showing. In September 2004, she recorded Party for Two with Billy Currington. It was playful and fun, and it hit #2 on the country charts. But the lyrics raised eyebrows, especially in religious states. Some stations refused to play it. Still, it sold over 1 million copies and got a Grammy nomination. Shania whispered some of the lyrics in the studio because her voice was so damaged, but no one could tell. The video was filmed in London with 500 extras and even featured Elton John. This song pushed Billy Currington's career and influenced new acts like Florida Georgia Line. It made $5 million by 2005. Shania Twain was 42 when her entire world collapsed in May 2008. After being married for 15 years to her music producer husband Robert Mutt Lang, she found out he was secretly having an affair. The woman wasn't just anyone. It was her best friend and personal assistant, Marie-Anne Thiebaud. The betrayal didn't come from a rumor. It was Marie Anne's own husband, Frederick Thibault, who discovered the affair and told Shania everything. That same month, she and Lang separated. Their divorce was finalized on June 9, 2010. What made it worse was that Lang stayed with Marie Anne. But in a strange twist, Shania and Frederick, both broken by the same betrayal, fell in love. They got married on January 1, 2011. The pain nearly broke her. She said it felt like losing her parents all over again, the same parents she lost in a car crash in 1987 when she was just 22. This wasn't just heartbreak, it was a full emotional collapse. She fell into deep depression. She was 43 when she tried to take her own life in Switzerland. She stood on a balcony, ready to jump. But the thought of her 7-year-old son, Aja, stopped her. She later said the grief was just as bad as the one she never recovered from, losing her parents. From 2008 to 2010, she shut herself away in Switzerland. During that time, she didn't even know she was also suffering from Lyme disease, which she had caught in 2003 from a tick while riding a horse. The disease damaged her vocal cords and caused dizzy spells and blackouts. As all this hit her at once, her childhood abuse memories came flooding back. She started therapy, trying to deal with everything that had been buried. And somehow, she forgave Lang. She didn't forget, but she forgave. She said his mistake was something he would have to live with, not her. Between 2005 and 2010, even before the affair, Shania had stepped away from music after releasing her 2002 album, Up. She spent those years focusing on raising Aja, who was born August 12, 2001. But once the affair happened in 2008, everything became heavier. She moved to Switzerland, hoping to disappear from the spotlight. Her health was quietly falling apart too. She'd had Lyme disease since 2003, and the symptoms were terrifying. She would black out for milliseconds every 30 seconds. Her voice would cut out. She began to believe she'd never sing again. In that time of pain, she and Frederick slowly found comfort in each other. That strange connection led to their marriage in Puerto Rico on New Year's Day 2011. That same year, she appeared in a TV series called Why Not with Shania Twain, where she showed her healing journey to the world. In May 2011, Shania released her autobiography, From This Moment On. She was 45. The book sold over 100,000 copies in the first week and became a New York Times bestseller. In it, she didn't hold back. She talked about growing up poor, being sexually abused by her stepfather from the age of 10, and losing her parents in 1987. She also opened up about the pain of the 2008 betrayal. She said it wasn't just a breakup, it felt like violence. She remembered washing her siblings' clothes in the river, performing in bars as a teen just to feed her family. She had written much of the book during her healing years, using it as therapy. Critics praised her honesty. Some even pointed out the funny stories she included, like the time she had to flee a suitor's mansion. The book helped people see a different side of her. It reminded them that before she became the best-selling female country artist with 100 million records sold, she had to survive a life full of pain. Then, in June 2011, she announced something huge. She was coming back. A Las Vegas residency titled Shania Still the One was set for December 2012, but her voice wasn't ready. That Lyme disease she got in 2003 had caused nerve damage, leading to a condition called dysphonia. She couldn't sing like she used to. She couldn't even talk loudly. She ended up having open-throat surgery in 2018. By then, she had already been living without a strong voice for 15 years. She said she grieved for her voice, like it was a death. The residency finally ran from 2012 to 2014, bringing in $43 million over 105 shows. Her big album comeback came in 2017 with Now. That was her first studio album in 15 years. She was 52. It proved she still had it. But that 2003 tick bite never stopped haunting her. The Lyme disease made her dizzy on stage, caused her to lose her balance, and created blackouts every 30 seconds. At 38, during the height of her fame, she had feared that her singing days were over. She went through years of tests before doctors figured out her vocal nerves were damaged. By then, it was almost too late. She was still selling millions of records, but behind the scenes, she was slowly falling apart. The diagnosis came too late to reverse the damage completely. She had to find a new voice. Then came the surgery. On August 1, 2018, she had an extremely rare procedure. She was fully awake during it, singing. The surgeons inserted Gore-Tex supports into her throat to help her vocal cords move again. She said it was terrifying. After the surgery, she was afraid to even make a sound, but it worked. She now has a noticeable scar that she's proud of. She said she'd rather have that scar than silence. By 2019, she was performing again, but her voice was deeper. She had to relearn everything: muscle memory, vocal control, balance. For 2 full years, from 2018 to 2020, she went through intense vocal therapy. She couldn't sing loud. She couldn't hold notes. But slowly, it all came back. Then came the pandemic. In 2020, Shania was 55 when she caught COVID-19, and it nearly killed her. She developed pneumonia, her lungs filled with fluid every single day. Because of her asthma, the situation was even worse. Her antibodies dropped to nearly 0. She flatlined. A special team had to airlift her for emergency treatment. For 12 days, she was on plasma therapy, barely hanging on. Doctors didn't tell her how close she was to needing a respirator. After surviving, she remembered a conversation with a minister who reminded her how precious fresh air was. That memory helped her write music again. The same year, she began preparing for a full return. That comeback started with her Now album in 2017. It had taken 15 years for her to return to the studio. She was 52. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and sold 137,000 units in the first week. The songs talked about life after heartbreak, especially her 2008 divorce. Her vocal cords were still healing, and the pain was still fresh, but she poured all of it into that album. The cover, with her in leopard print, was a callback to her past, but also a new beginning. In 2018, while touring for that album, she suffered terrifying panic attacks. She was 53 and still trying to adjust to her new voice. She said it felt like taking an exam every day. The nerves were overwhelming. She had to control her food, her schedule, everything. Even the fans singing along could throw her off and make her forget the lyrics. She admitted it on a December 7, 2018 episode of Live with Kelly and Ryan. To cope, she even used hypnosis. Still, she pushed through 49 shows from May to December that year and made over $20 million. In one emotional moment during the Nashville show, she broke down while talking about her divorce, but she kept going. Then, in 2023, Shania released her boldest album yet. Queen of Me came out on February 3rd. She was 57. This time, the songs talked about aging, menopause, and self-love. It had 12 tracks, including Waking Up Dreaming and Giddy Up. In the US, it sold 38,000 units in the first week. In the UK, it debuted at #1. She even posed topless for the single art, saying it made her feel free after years of body shame. That shame started in childhood, when she was abused by her stepfather and grew up in poverty. She said that hiding her body for so many years had made her feel invisible. Now, she wanted to feel seen. The tour that followed was massive. From April 28, 2023 to November 14, 2024, She performed 75 shows across North America and Europe. She was between 57 and 59 years old during the tour, yet the energy never faded. She even surprised everyone by appearing at Coachella in April 2022 with Harry Styles before the tour began. Tickets sold out in places like Vancouver and Toronto, where she performed double nights and made millions. The whole tour made over $114 million and proved she could still outperform artists half her age. Even though the stage fright was still there, she added aerial stunts, costume changes, and moments of pure joy. By 2025, in new interviews, she revealed why she had posed nude for her album art in 2023. She was 59 and no longer afraid of her body. She said it was her way of conquering the trauma from her past. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wanted to show other women that even after 50, even after abuse, disease, heartbreak, and almost dying, you could still stand tall. She talked about performing in bars at age 8, just to help her family survive. And now, after everything, she had become a symbol of strength, showing people that survival could turn into something beautiful.